a philosophical exploration of the beginning and meaning of the universe. Hello, everyone. Today, I would like to address some of the most profound questions that humanity has pondered for thousands of years. How did the universe begin? How was something created from nothing? And does the universe have meaning in itself? Or do we humans assign meaning to it? These questions go beyond simple curiosity and touch on fundamental aspects of human existence. Chapter 1: The Big Bang Theory and the Beginning of the Universe. According to the standard model of modern science, the universe began approximately 13.8 billion years ago with an event called the Big Bang. This theory was proposed by scientists like Georges Lemaitre in the early 20th century and subsequently received strong support from Edwin Hubble's observations and the discovery of cosmic background radiation. However, this theory is not perfect. In fact, there are quite a few loopholes, like a hastily constructed alibi. But before that, let's look at exactly what the Big Bang Theory claims. The Big Bang Theory states that the universe was initially incredibly hot and dense, and then began to expand rapidly. During this expansion process, the universe cooled and matter formed, and these materials clumped together to form stars and galaxies. Sounds quite plausible, doesn't it? Now, here comes the interesting part. Scientists cannot explain what existed before the Big Bang. They say the Big Bang was the beginning of the universe, yet they cannot properly explain that beginning itself. It's like reading a book with the first chapter torn out. If you ask, so how did the story begin? They respond, it just began. Chapter 2: Major Objections to the Big Bang Theory. Now let's look at some important objections to the Big Bang Theory. These objections are not simple questions, but problems that shake the fundamental foundation of the theory. 1. The problem of singularity. According to the Big Bang Theory, the universe began in a state called asingularity. This singularity is a state with infinite density and zero volume. Physically, this is, well, it doesn't make sense. Infinite density and zero volume. It's like saying, I am infinitely fat, but my body takes up no space at all. How would you understand that? In fact, many physicists acknowledge that the concept of singularity signals the limits of our physical laws. Even Einstein's general theory of relativity does not apply at singularity. To say that the universe began at a point where the laws of physics do not work is like claiming that a game started before the rules were determined. It's logically contradictory. 2. The problem of something from nothing. The second objection is a more philosophical issue. The Big Bang Theory essentially claims that something arose from nothing. But this touches on one of the oldest philosophical questions in human history. Why does something exist rather than nothing? Modern physicist Lawrence Krauss, in his book A Universe from Nothing, argued that nothing in quantum mechanics is not actually complete nothingness. According to him, things like quantum fields already existed. But this is not solving the problem, just pushing it back one step. Then where did these quantum fields come from? Like the question, which came first, the egg or the chicken? Swing, we fall into an endless regression. This problem is closer to a philosophical or even theological question, rather than a scientific one. The concept of something being created from nothing is logically difficult to understand. From Aristotle to modern philosophers, many thinkers have supported the principle that nothing comes from nothing. 3. The problem of redshift interpretation. One of the main pieces of evidence for the Big Bang Theory is the observation that light from distant galaxies shows a redshift. This is interpreted as evidence that galaxies are moving away from us, supporting the Big Bang Theory that the universe is expanding. However, interestingly, redshift can be explained in other ways. For example, the tired light theory suggests that light loses energy and shifts toward red as it travels through the universe. Of course, this theory has been abandoned by most scientists because it doesn't match other observations, but it shows that redshift does not necessarily mean cosmic expansion. Looking at the history of science, many theories initially seemed to explain observations well, only to be proven wrong later. Ptolemy's geocentric model also predicted the movement of celestial bodies quite accurately at the time. That doesn't mean Earth was the center of the universe. We must remember that scientific interpretations are always tentative. 4. The horizon problem. Another challenge facing the Big Bang theory is the horizon problem. Observing the cosmic microwave background radiation, we find that different parts of the universe have almost identical temperatures. This is as if all parts of the universe had a conversation and agreed on the same temperature. But the problem is, according to the Big Bang theory, these different parts of the universe shouldn't have had time to exchange information with each other. Even light wouldn't have had enough time to travel from one region to another, so how could the entire universe have the same temperature? To solve this problem, the inflation theory was proposed. This theory claims that the universe expanded much faster than the speed of light for an extremely short time in its early stages. But this raises another question. Why and how did such expansion occur? It's like creating a bigger hole to fill a gap in the story. The problem of the absence of antimatter. Finally, according to the Big Bang theory, matter and antimatter should have been created in equal amounts in the early universe. This is because, according to the laws of physics, these two are created in pairs. However, the universe we observe today is dominated by matter, and antimatter is rarely found. Scientists propose the concept of symmetry breaking to explain why matter is predominant, but exactly how this process occurred remains a mystery. The Big Bang theory does not provide a satisfactory answer to this. There is no clear explanation for where the antimatter in the universe went, or why more matter was created from the beginning. Chapter 3. The meaning of the universe. Objective reality or subjective construction? Now that we've examined the problems with the Big Bang theory, let's move on to a more fundamental question. Does the universe have meaning in itself, or do we humans assign meaning to it? The answer to this question varies greatly, depending on which perspective you take. Science, philosophy, faith. Let's look at this issue through each of these lenses. Scientific perspective. Through the lens of science, the universe is merely a collection of particles moving according to physical laws. After the Big Bang, stars and galaxies formed according to natural laws, and life forms evolved by chance on a small planet called Earth. From this perspective, the universe itself does not have purpose or intention. Meaning comes solely from human perception. Physicist Stephen Hawking supported this view, saying, "The universe just exists. It is meaningless to ask why we are here, or why the universe exists. But with a little thought, there is a paradox in this view. If the universe is truly a meaningless random collection of particles, why can we understand it? Why is mathematics, an abstract human concept, so effective in explaining the laws of the universe? This is what physicist Eugene Wigner called the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics. Interestingly, as physics advances, the universe seems to become increasingly difficult to understand. Quantum mechanics claims that reality is not determined without an observer, and multiverse theory suggests that infinite possible universes might exist. It becomes difficult to distinguish whether there is truly an objective reality, or if everything changes according to our perception. Philosophical perspective. Entering the world of philosophy, we find more diverse views on this question. Existentialist philosophers, especially Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus, argued that the universe is essentially meaningless, and humans must create meaning for themselves. To borrow Sartre's famous saying, existence precedes essence. That is, we first exist, and then we create our own meaning. In contrast, ancient Greek philosophers like Plato and Aristotle believed that there are inherent purposes and meanings in the universe. Aristotle's concept of final cause embodies the idea that everything moves toward a purpose according to its nature. From this perspective, the universe was designed with purpose, not randomly. In modern philosophy, there are various positions between these two extremes. For example, Carl Jung argued that even if the universe itself does not have meaning, there are universal symbols and archetypes in the human collective unconscious. This suggests that humans do not create meaning entirely arbitrarily, but discover it based on structures already inherent within us. Looking throughout the history of philosophy, humans have always sought systems, order, and meaning. Whether this is a byproduct of our brain's simple pattern recognition ability, or actually detecting meaning inherent in the universe, remains an open question. Faith perspective. Finally, let's look at this question through the lens of religion and faith. Theistic religions such as Christianity, Judaism, and Islam claim that the universe was deliberately created and has purpose and meaning in itself. Genesis 1:1 declares, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth." From this perspective, the universe is not a product of mere chance, but an expression of God's plan and purpose. In comparison, Eastern religions like Buddhism view the essence of the universe as impermanent and constantly changing. They teach that seeking eternal entity or meaning is merely an illusion, and true enlightenment comes when one breaks free from such attachments. However, this does not mean nihilism. Rather, it emphasizes the importance of recognizing that everything is interconnected and living faithfully in the present moment. The religious perspective is not just a matter of belief, but contains human experience and wisdom spanning thousands of years. It provides deep insight into the meaning of the universe and human existence. If science tries to answer the question of how, religion addresses the question of why. Chapter 4: The Universe and Humans, Coexistence of Meaning. So far, we have examined the problems with the Big Bang Theory and various perspectives on the meaning of the universe. Now let's seek a more integrated view by synthesizing all these discussions. In fact, the question of whether the universe has objective meaning, or whether we assign that meaning, might be a false dichotomy. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere between these two possibilities. Physicist and philosopher Bernard d'Espagnat claimed, "The universe cannot exist without an observer." From the perspective of quantum mechanics, the act of observation itself determines reality. This suggests a deep interrelationship between the universe and human consciousness. Similarly, psychoanalyst Carl Jung said, "Meaning is neither discovered nor created. It is the transformation of experience." This implies that the meaning of the universe is neither purely objective nor purely subjective. Rather, it arises from the dynamic interaction between human consciousness and external reality. Similar insights can be found from a religious perspective. Jesus said in Luke 17:21, "The kingdom of God is within you." This suggests that transcendental meaning does not simply exist externally, but is closely connected to inner human experience. In the end, the meaning of the universe seems to exist in a dynamic tension between subject and object, interior and exterior, discovery, and creation. We neither completely create nor completely discover the meaning of the universe. Rather, we dance with it, and in the process, open up deeper dimensions of understanding and experience. Chapter 5: Synthesis and Conclusion, Interpretation from a Biblical Perspective. So far, we have examined the limitations of the Big Bang Theory and various philosophical, scientific, and religious perspectives on the meaning of the universe. Now let's synthesize all these discussions from a biblical perspective. The Bible provides remarkable insights into these profound questions. Genesis 1:1 simply yet powerfully declares, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." This short verse answers the fundamental question about the origin of the universe. It states that the universe did not spontaneously arise from nothing, but was intentionally created by a creator. So how can we understand the aspects that the Big Bang Theory fails to explain, such as the singularity problem, the problem of something from nothing, the horizon problem, and so on? Isaiah 55:8-9 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." This suggests that transcendental events, such as the creation of the universe, cannot be fully explained by limited human scientific methodologies or physical laws. The beginning of the universe may have been a divine act that transcends human understanding. Now let's move on to the question about the meaning of the universe. Does the universe have meaning in itself? The Bible's answer is clear. Psalm 19 verse 1 declares, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands." Similarly, Romans 1:20 states, "For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made." These verses imply that the universe is more than just a collection of matter. It is a meaningful creation that reflects the character and purpose of the Creator. At the same time, we humans have been given the special ability to recognize and respond to this meaning. According to Genesis 1:27, this is because we were created in the image of God. Thus, from a biblical perspective, the meaning of the universe is neither a subjective construct nor a completely objective reality. Rather, it is a relational reality between the Creator and the creation. The universe contains the Creator's intention and purpose, and humans are invited beings to discover and respond to that meaning. Ecclesiastes 3:11 beautifully expresses this. "He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end." We have an instinct to seek eternity, that is, meaning and purpose, but we cannot fully understand God's work. In conclusion, our exploration of the limitations of the Big Bang Theory and the meaning of the universe all lead to one important realization. We must be humble. Scientific theories provide valuable insights into the universe, but they are always tentative and incomplete. Likewise, our philosophical reflections are important, but they have limitations. The Bible teaches us to pursue knowledge, but to be cautious not to let it lead to pride. Proverbs 9:10 says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding." This is the biblical response to our exploration. The answers to all questions about the origin and meaning of the universe can ultimately be found in a relationship with the Creator. Scientific theories change, philosophical perspectives evolve, but the wisdom of the Bible provides direction, transcending time. Chapter 6: Application in Daily Life. How to live a meaningful life. Now let's see how all these deep philosophical, scientific, and theological discussions can be applied to real life. How can understanding the limitations of the Big Bang Theory and reflecting on the meaning of the universe affect our everyday lives? First, this understanding teaches us intellectual humility. When we recognize how limited human knowledge is, we can escape the pride of thinking we know everything. This allows us to accept other perspectives and views with a more open mind. 1 Corinthians 8:1 teaches, "Knowledge puffs up, but love builds up." Second, the recognition that the meaning of the universe is more than mere material existence gives our lives a deeper sense of purpose. If we were merely accidental products of a meaningless universe, our actions and choices would ultimately not matter. However, from a biblical perspective, our lives have deep meaning and purpose. Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works." Third, recognizing the limitations of scientific theories does not mean rejecting science itself. Rather, it allows us to view science from a broader and more balanced perspective. The Bible encourages studying and understanding the natural world. Psalm 111 verse 2 declares, "Great are the works of the Lord. They are pondered by all who delight in them." From this perspective, scientific theories like evolution can be viewed not as something to be fully accepted or fully rejected, but as an opinion to be critically evaluated. Even if evolution provides insight into the mechanisms of biological change, it cannot be a complete explanation for the ultimate origin or purpose of life. Fourth, the biblical understanding of the meaning of the universe gives us hope and confidence. If the universe were just a random collection of meaningless particles, our future would only be a bleak thermodynamic death. But the Bible teaches that the universe is moving toward a purpose, and that purpose is part of the Creator's grand plan. Romans 8:20-21 says, "For the creation was subjected to frustration, not by its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay, and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God." Lastly, such reflection on the universe and its meaning brings us greater wonder and gratitude. Modern people often forget the mystery and beauty of the universe, overwhelmed by everyday stress and worry. But when we look at the stars in the night sky, or observe the complex design of nature, we can re-experience the wonder of creation. Psalm 19 verse 1-2 sings, "The heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech, night after night they reveal knowledge." Chapter 7. The intersection of modern physics and the biblical worldview. As modern physics advances, our understanding of the universe is becoming increasingly complex. Interestingly, some of the physical discoveries since the 20th century show surprising points of intersection with the biblical worldview. First, quantum mechanics emphasizes the fundamental uncertainty of matter and the role of the observer. At the quantum level, a particle does not have a determined position or velocity until it is observed. This departs from a mechanistic and deterministic view of the universe, suggesting a complex interaction between consciousness and reality. This perspective resonates interestingly with the creation narrative in Genesis 1, where God creates through speech and declares it good. Second, the discovery of fine-tuning in cosmology has surprised many scientists. The fact that the basic constants of the universe are precisely calibrated within a range that makes life possible is too elaborate to be mere coincidence. And Isaiah 45:18 states, "For this is what the Lord says, He who created the heavens, He is God. He who fashioned and made the earth, He founded it. He did not create it to be empty, but formed it to be inhabited." Third, modern physics' understanding of the nature of time has deep connections with the biblical concept of God's eternity. Einstein's theory of relativity shows that time is not absolute but relative. The concept that time is part of creation is revealed in Psalm 90, verse 4. 1,000 years in your sight are like a day that has just gone by, or like a watch in the night, which remarkably aligns with this. Fourth, modern cosmology has confirmed that the universe has a finite past. This rejects the concept of eternal matter and supports the biblical view that there was a beginning. Furthermore, physics predicts that someday the universe will meet a thermodynamic death. This aligns with Hebrews 1:10-12. In the beginning, Lord, you laid the foundations of the earth, and the heavens are the work of your hands. They will perish, but you remain. They will all wear out like a garment. Of course, these intersections do not mean that science proves all the contents of the Bible. However, they show that as modern physics advances, it is moving away from a mechanistic and materialistic worldview toward a more complex and mysterious view of the universe. This may be because, as the Apostle Paul said in Romans 1:20, God's eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made. Chapter 8. Conclusion. Between awe and exploration. As we conclude our journey, let's summarize the important lessons that our exploration of the beginning and meaning of the universe has taught us. The Big Bang Theory provides valuable insights into the history of the universe, but still fails to answer many fundamental questions. The problems of singularity, something from nothing, the horizon problem, and the absence of antimatter continue to puzzle scientists. Similarly, the question of whether the meaning of the universe objectively exists or is subjectively assigned by humans does not allow for a simple answer. Looking through the lenses of science, philosophy, and faith reveals different insights and perspectives. However, the Bible provides us with a firm foundation amidst all these complex questions. The Bible clearly teaches that the universe is not the product of random events, but the result of the Creator's intentional act, and that we humans have been given a special position and purpose within that created order. According to the Bible, our understanding of the universe will always be partial and incomplete. 1 Corinthians 13:12 says, "For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part. Then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known." This humble recognition leads us to find a balance between awe and exploration. On one hand, we must continue to question, research, and explore. On the other hand, we must not lose our sense of awe before the mystery of creation. In Job 38, God asked Job, "Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation?" reminding him of the wonder of creation and the limits of human knowledge. But God does not forbid questions. Rather, he invites Job to deeper questioning. This is the attitude our exploration of the universe should pursue. Understanding that scientific curiosity and spiritual awe are not mutually exclusive, but complementary. The deeper we understand the universe, the more amazed we become at the sophistication and beauty of its design. In the end, the answers to all questions about the beginning and meaning of the universe can be found in the truth that the Bible consistently proclaims from beginning to end. Genesis 1:1 explains, "In the beginning God," and Revelation 22:13 says, "I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end." The beginning and end of the universe and all its meaning must be found in the Creator. Here we need to remember the wisdom of Ecclesiastes 12:13. Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. The ultimate purpose of exploring the universe is not merely the accumulation of knowledge, but to know and revere the Creator more deeply. Closing words. Everyone, today we have taken a grand journey together. Starting from the limitations of the Big Bang Theory, we have examined various perspectives on the meaning of the universe and how the Bible provides insight into all these questions. While exploring these complex and sometimes confusing topics, we have discovered one important truth. The answers to all profound questions can ultimately be found in the Word of the Bible. Psalm 119, 105 declares, "Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light on my path." Of course, scientific inquiry and philosophical reflection have value in themselves. But when such exploration leads to awe and gratitude toward the Creator, it becomes truly meaningful wisdom. Proverbs 1:7 teaches, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge." I hope that, in your life too, such reflection on the universe and its meaning will lead beyond mere intellectual curiosity to deeper faith and purpose in life. I hope that each of us can humbly stand before the mystery of creation while enjoying the discovery of the Creator's wisdom and love contained within it. Thank you sincerely for listening to this audiobook to the end. Your interest and time are a great encouragement to me. If you would like to share more spiritual and intellectual exploration and reflection with us, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you press the subscribe button and set up notifications, you can be the first to receive news whenever new content is uploaded. Next time, I will come to you with another interesting and meaningful topic. Until then, I pray that God's peace and wisdom be with you. Thank you.